understand. To be loved is to love. To be loved is to love. are all that I see. In your love I am free. Healing love spreading over the earth. Healing love spreading over the earth tenderly. Into your light I melt. Into your flame I'm drawn. Into your mind I merge. Into your grace I fall. Into your grace, into grace, into grace, into your grace.
Namaste.
Welcome.
Welcome to our weekly online Satsang. Satsang means community of truth. And really any time that two or more people come together who are on the path of awakening, you have a Satsang, a spiritual community. We're an informal community, the Flowering Heart Satsang. We have people join us that are from different continents, different countries, different ideologies, spiritual backgrounds, spiritual teachers, belief systems. What we have in common is that we are in the process of awakening and the flowering of our hearts in oneness with the divine. So, welcome. That must be you, or you wouldn't have found your way here tonight. We're glad that you're with us. It's so important at this time on earth that those of us who are connected with divine consciousness in the heart and who are awakening beyond the illusion of ego and separation, it's essential that we connect and come together. When we join together, the field of consciousness expands exponentially. The grace that we experience, the silence that each one of us has when we come together and it pools, is multiplied. And so we grow so much faster when we're growing together with others who are also experiencing the flowering of the heart into higher states of consciousness. The Flowering Heart Blessing is something we share throughout the webcast satsangs, and that is a direct transmission of divine grace, of divine enlightened consciousness, and the grace that catalyzes awakening and transformation in the flowering of the heart. The Flowering Heart Blessing, the divine revealed to us going on 7 years ago. And Suzanne and I have experienced so many different kinds of blessing, Shaktipat, Diksha. The different traditions have different names for, but all of the great mystical traditions have some form of the transmission of awakened consciousness. When the divine showed us this one, we were told, this comes directly from me. It is not filtered through any avatar or master or teacher or organization or spiritual hierarchy. It comes directly from the divine to the heart of one who desires the grace and assistance of the divine in the process of awakening. It catalyzes that process. It facilitates, it speeds it up, removes blocks, and takes us deeper and deeper and deeper. The divine also said, it's pure grace. It's not earned, it's not deserved, and it's sure not paid for. It is my gift to humanity. So give it away. And that's what we've been doing ever since. The divine also said, tell people if they feel this connection, this energy, this presence, they have already been initiated to share it with others. All you need to do is hold that intention, invite the divine to pour the flowering heart blessing through you, and it flows immediately because we don't do it. We just invite the divine to use us as instruments of grace. The divine does all the rest. So we can do that in prayer or meditation at a distance, or with a person in our physical presence with informed consent. We can gently lay our hands on their head and just invite the divine to give them whatever they need and just get out of the way. It works amazingly. We have a 36-minute video on our website at floweringheart.org, which explains a little bit more about the power of blessing and how the flowering heart blessing works. And there's a guided initiation meditation. So feel free to visit that anytime you feel like you need a reconnect or a recharge, or you want to share the power of blessing with someone you know. You could just open a laptop or turn on a computer and hit click on that video, and you have an introduction and an initiation. And from that point on, all of you could just begin to share blessings with one another, and you would have a blessing group. I highly recommend it. If you don't have one that you can attend regularly, then go ahead and start one with at least just one other person, and it will begin to grow. We've found that that people who come to a blessing circle regularly and receive that divine transmission, their growth is constant and persistent over time. It's just amazing to watch the way people grow. The flowering heart blessing works. Now, I know there are many other kinds of blessing that are beautiful. As I said, Suzanne and I have experienced many different transmissions from different esoteric traditions, different kinds of Diksha, Shaktipat, and blessing. But and if you bring one of those with you tonight, feel free to share it during the satsang silently as we're all doing this. But you could too share the flowering heart blessing. Just feel each kind of blessing that we've experienced has a different quality to it. And this one is so heart-centered. The divine takes people right into the spiritual heart and begins to awaken the sense, the feeling of connection with the indwelling divine light. And the minute that connection is made, it begins to flower. It begins to expand and radiate outward from the center through all the layers of our being, transforming us. So, give it a try. If you're, well, whether you're here for the first time or not, we'd love to invite you, unless you're going to leave a comment in the chat, to go ahead and give us a like or a love. You can see up there hearts and thumbs up, and somewhere on your page is a place where you can give us a blessing. What that does, if you give us a like or a love, is at the end of the satsang tonight, Suzanne and I can go in and see your name. And we love you, and we'll send you special hugs. So please do that. We open it at this point to questions and answers about the spiritual journey. Could be anything. The best questions are the ones about your own experience and your own spiritual practice. What is or isn't happening with your meditation or your own journey to awakening. But it could be a philosophical question. What is awakening? What is divine union? Is there reincarnation? What is that? We're happy to take those questions. They're all good. It just seems like any time any of you come up with questions, they just catalyze insight. And what happens is, if we don't know the answer to your question, we just tune into the presence and the presence pours into us inspiration to give us all clarity and insight into the thing you asked. And you may think you're just asking it for yourself, but as it turns out, our journeys, while unique and different, are parallel somehow, and we all go through similar challenges along the way. So your question and the answers it catalyzes will help all of us in the satsang. So bring them on. We have one, I see. Michael Christopher, hi. Hope you're having a good time out there. Michael asks, have you ever plateaued in your spiritual growth? If so, how do you start to grow again? You know, I would say, first of all, for those of us who are passionate about spiritual growth, are there any of us who have not plateaued at some point? It just, it happens. And part of it is just the natural terrain. I mean, you grow by leaps and bounds, and you get to a certain level, and it levels out for a while you learn to integrate the new insights, the new doors of consciousness and perception that have opened in you. And so there's nothing wrong with that. But oftentimes we really feel like we're stuck on a plateau. It's lasting too long. What do? What I do is I connect with the presence and I say, I feel kind of stuck. Help me move on. Show me what I could do, but give me grace to help me continue to grow. And the divine always seems to say yes to that prayer. So I highly encourage that. Having a consistent spiritual practice, whether yours is yoga or qigong, hopefully everyone has some form of meditation practice, which can be very different for different people. I like to sit in absolute silence and focus on the space between thoughts and breaths, which is empty, vast, unbounded space. Some call it void, some call it the presence. Other people like to focus on a seed, a visualization of a seed of light, or a cosmic sun, or a yantra, or mandala. Others focus on mantras or certain prayer phrases that are repeated inwardly. For some people, it's going for a walk in nature and just losing yourself in the spontaneity of the moment and transcending the self in oneness with all that surrounds you. For some, it's dance. I mean, there's so many approaches, but find a meditation practice that works for you. On our website, we have a number of buttons that run down the left side, and one is, I think it says meditation room. But there we give descriptions and basic instructions for, at least I think 6 or more different kinds of meditation. And you can experiment with them. But if you find a spiritual practice, whether it's prayer or meditation, keep it up. Especially when you feel that you've plateaued and it's become boring and you just don't feel any reinforcement or energization coming from it. There are times where you need to back off your practice and let it go for a little bit and relax. But for the most part, when you feel stuck on a plateau, just be consistent with your spiritual practice while you continually ask, seek, and knock. Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you. So if you keep asking, you keep seeking, you keep knocking at the door of the divine, you'll find that you will continue growing. And probably you'll discover that even during this time where you felt like you were on a plateau, you were growing too. Again, I like this idea from Matt Kahn. He says, whatever you're going through, however you feel about it or don't feel about it, know that it is absolutely perfect. It is what you need to experience to go to the next step. So whether that experience is like boredom that lasts for a day or a month or several months, just be here now and embrace the perfect imperfection of what's going on in the present moment, and you'll see.
I find for me, and this isn't a very popular answer, but I find for me that if I feel like I'm not growing, that I'm being too focused on myself and on the world around me instead of going within and asking how can I be of service. When we're being of service to others, we're contributing, we're growing, we're experiencing connection with the divine presence. And the world can always use, people to be a little bit more of service. So if I feel like I'm in some kind of a rut, I look for how can I serve others? And that pulls me right out of it. Because oftentimes when we feel like we're stuck or in a rut with our spiritual journey, that's just the part of us, the ego and the mind, that wants the next big thing, that wants the supernatural experiences. And I find it's incredibly supernatural to just be present in the present moment as much as I can throughout the day. There's that craving or seeking part of ourselves that want things to be other than it is, and more bells and whistles and fireworks. Yeah. And so when I keep going within and asking, how can I continue to grow? For me, the fastest way has been to be of service. And like I've said before, that could just be a smile or a compliment or, a couple of dollars to a homeless person or, helping somebody out when you see that there's a need.
I'm fundamentally a Taoist, and balance is the whole essence of the Taoist way, balance and harmony with nature. But you said, Susanna, this answer is often not popular. I can't imagine why it wouldn't be, because it's absolutely right on. One of the things we teach is that seeking personal spiritual growth and seeking to make a contribution to the greater good are like two wings. And you can't fly with one wing. So if you're putting all your energy into personal spiritual growth, you can get out of balance and get stuck, and then what Suzanne said is the fix. It's like to quit being self-absorbed and to give yourself to service of the greater good. If you give yourself to service of the greater good and you become obsessively focused on your service, your seva, on doing karma yoga and good works, you can get so focused on that wing that you're not giving time and energy in a balanced way to your own spiritual development, spiritual growth. And so then you need to look at that. I know, Michael, you've been putting a lot of energy into developing gifts to make a contribution to the greater good, teaching, qigong, and working toward a counselor's degree and license to be able to counsel other people. So that's putting a lot of energy into working toward your contribution to the world and to the greater good. Wonderful. So maybe so much energy is going into that wing right now that the personal growth wing is kind of numb and out of sight. So, for you, if you're involved in serving the greater good, then look at that consistency and passionate focus on your own spiritual practice and just seek balance in those two areas. And I know you're just going to be fine. And sure, I've felt plateaued so many times. So the worst feeling I've had over the years, I think, in my own personal spiritual journey, which has been long and amazing and wonderful, and I've had all these awesome experiences and breakthroughs in consciousness, but there were these times where I felt like, oh no, I don't think I'm growing. What if I don't grow anymore? And it was like, it would grip me, And then probably what I needed to do in those moments is exactly what Suzanne said, which is get off the focus on. And that's what my Taoist master taught me in my early days. When I would get all focused on myself and struggling with my own growth, he'd turn me around and point at somebody across the room and give me a shove. Go help them. Go help them heal with healing, with energy or counseling. And as soon as I did that, I was free and I felt that forward motion. So it's okay. More, hi. More says, I felt a presence in my heart recently. How can that be? Maybe it's time to try something new. Do we receive special messages when we're going to die? Wow, you just said a lot.
Wow.
The presence in your heart, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you mean. I feel the divine presence in my heart always. It is the ground of being. It is our essence, our true nature is that presence that we're always invoking.
Is she talking about her physical heart or spiritual heart? We probably need some clarification on that.
Yeah. Okay, so what kind of presence are we talking about? Is it your spiritual heart? And maybe it's time to try something new. Well, your spirit will show you. If it's time to try something new, something will grab your attention. You'll catch a whiff of something and it will attract you. Do we receive special messages when we're going to die? Oftentimes we do, yes. But we receive special messages when we're going to live a lot longer too. So it depends on what kind of messages we're talking about. I've received special messages when someone close to me was going to make their transition. I would always know as a pastor, usually about 6 months in advance before one of my parishioners was going in that direction. And I could work with them and the family. I didn't tell them. I kept the secret. But I could have that consciousness to help them with what they maybe weren't perceiving, what was unfolding. And yet she's talking about her spiritual heart. But you know, it can change. I got a special message once where the divine showed me when I was going to die, the month, the year, and how it was going to happen, and I saw it. And I embraced it. I accepted it, and it all changed. It all changed. Suzanne came into my life, and a whole new thing when we came together, alchemically unfolded, and the divine showed me, that's no longer the plan for you. You're not going to die anytime soon, and there's more work to do. And that was before we started going to India, and a lot of things happened. That was like 17 years ago. And so just the divine might, certainly because the divine loves you so much, if you were approaching your transition time, the divine might show you so that you have an opportunity to either change it or prepare yourself. Often the messages come through loved ones that have passed on before us, and people have visited in dreams or in meditation, or just have visions and see one of these or some of their loved ones that have transitioned before them. But I wouldn't jump to conclusions. I would ask the divine to give you clarity to understand these messages that you might be feeling. And I don't know if you've been getting messages like that or not. Do we receive special messages when we're going to transition? Not necessarily. But it's not an unusual thing for that to happen. Okay. Just flipped over to Vimeo, and we have some other. Jennifer says, my friend Stacy Morris, we know Stacy Morris. Yeah. Stacy Morris introduced me to the center and the content and blessings you share for free to strangers years ago. I want to say thank you, and especially say how life-changing the last communion with the cosmic Christ was on the different orders of angels and spiritual beings. I've had a couple not so minor miracles take place since then as a result. Question, can you recommend a method or practice for help letting go of resentment toward being raised in a carnal, judgy, hateful religion that didn't teach any of this. It's sounding like the recommendations on dealing with a plateau may apply to this as well. Well, first of all, Jennifer, thank you.
Thank you.
And you're very welcome. And thank you for sharing what a difference the blessings and the teachings have made in your life. Also for your feedback on the last interfaith communion with the Cosmic Christ. That is up there right on our Facebook page. It's also on Vimeo if you find our library there. I recommend it. It's on the Ministry of Angels, and people have been experiencing miracles since that. It's really amazing. In that teaching, not only does it describe the different orders of angels, but I think most importantly, it teaches what the angels can and want to do for us, and how we sometimes keep them limited from being able to help us, and how to remove those limitations and unleash angels in the earth to help us and our loved ones and to help humanity in the world. It's so necessary right now. And I want to share something.
Hold on. Let's answer her question first. Yeah, I know I want to share that too, but should we answer the question?
Go ahead.
First? I find that the easiest way for me to get out of judgment and criticism is, I know that this is kind of a mental thing, but once it gets sunk into your heart, it really helps a lot, is that we're all doing the best that we can in our current state of consciousness, and whatever decisions we make on how to parent, on what religion to be in part of, whatever decisions we're making, it's coming from our own upbringing and our own programming, until we get more awake and conscious and realize we can do things differently than how we were taught it was supposed to be. And so being raised in a family like that, they are doing the best that they can in their current state of consciousness. And so as we grow spiritually and we get so much fruit from it, it's almost like you develop compassion for them, because you're seeing how much they're missing out on and how much light they're missing out on. So hope that helps a little.
Indeed. Also, in letting go of resentment, it's because the experiences you had being raised in a carnal, judgy, hateful, religious environment hurt you. Part of the fix has been getting right teachings and dropping those limiting beliefs that were being thrust in your direction, and growing yourself spiritually. But getting rid of the resentment, if you're in a good enough place to do it, just let it go. But often it's sticky and it persists, and these are unconscious charges, or subconscious, that we've internalized because of hurts in our lives. And so there's this sticky, resentful, emotional material. The only way to actually get rid of it is to embrace it in love. And allow yourself to feel that whatever resentment you have, let yourself feel it, because the spiritual mind, the mind with its spiritual ideas, will come in and say, you're a spiritual person. You shouldn't feel resentment, Jennifer. That's not a spiritual thing. Good people who are spiritual don't feel resentment. Well, yeah, you feel everything. Everything. I mean, even speaking of someone like Christ, who's understood by Christians to be sinless, says he was tempted in every way that we are, which means he felt resentment, he felt lust, he felt anger, he felt fear, he felt abandonment, and he gave voice to that to show his disciples and generations to follow that someone who's perfectly enlightened and walking in the light, who's a human being, will experience the whole range of emotions. Where we get into trouble is if resentment or anger or hurt or unforgiveness comes up in us, and we go, well, that's not worthy of me, and we try to push it away, escape it, breathe our way through it, shove it down into the unconscious. But if, as our spiritual practices unfold, these things will naturally emerge into the light of consciousness, that's half the battle right there. So rather than try to look away or get away, smudge it with sage or something, just be with it and embrace it. There it is. Don't judge it. If you allow yourself to feel it and experience it, I don't mean wallow in it, just when it comes up in that instant, embrace it and accept it. It will discharge. Now, it may not happen all at once. This may happen over a period of time. But as we face our resentments and embrace them, we will find they discharge. And when that charge of resentment is fully gone, you will find there's nothing to forgive your family for. Because there's no more pain in you, there's no more suffering. I mean, you'll still see how limiting and judgy and messy that environment was and how it affected you at one time, but you're no longer carrying the baggage. So, hope that helps. Oh, wow. Yes, thank you. This is okay. So what I wanted to share with you, everyone, goes back to the ministry of angels, and we not only did that teaching and did some powerful affirmations where we spoke the word to unleash legions of angels in our own situations and in the earth in this time when there's war going on and there's so much trouble on earth. It was so powerful.
Yeah.
And Monday morning when I woke up after that, I was in such deep peace. I went, we need to do more of this. So Wednesday night at our satsang that we have here physically at our center where people actually come and sit with us, we did it again. Again, it was very powerful. And I woke up Thursday morning again in that deep peace, and I could in meditation see these luminous beings around me. And maybe they're always there, but we had opened the door. Whatever you loose on earth is loosed in the spirit, loosed in heaven. Whatever you bind or forbid on earth, heaven will bind and forbid. And we were like forbidding war, binding war, and loosing angels to fulfill the divine word that says that the divine makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. The divine breaks the bow and shatters the spear in pieces and burns the chariots in fire, brings an end to war, and protects the people. So with that kind of intent, we released just gajillions of angels. And I got this message today from an unexpected source. It was a forward from someone in a group that I belong to for some time, from Elizabeth Tobin. Elizabeth Tobin is an amazing light worker and spiritual being that I've known for 17 years, virtually. And she does really cool work. And I actually hadn't had contact with Elizabeth for some time, so I was so delighted to have this forwarded to me. And this is what Elizabeth said. If you've been praying for Ukraine, please continue and know that your prayers are working and the people of Ukraine can feel them. What follows is from an email I received today from a friend who has friends in Ukraine. And here it goes. A little message from my hubby's friend in Kiev. Quote, I want to encourage all you prayer warriors with the words that I hear from soldiers and regular people all over Ukraine. Quote, we feel the prayer support. Sometimes some unexplainable things are happening, as if some unseen hand pushes bullets and rockets away from us and they fly past us. We come out victorious from very tough situations as if someone is walking with us. We become invisible for the enemy. Well, we see everything, and even in the darkness, and we have knowledge of what to do and how. This encourages us and gives us strength. Please do not stop. Keep supporting us in prayer. We need it.
That's like what Michael was saying earlier, that when we come together and our consciousness comes together, it gets amplified. So think of how many people on the planet right now are praying deeply for this situation. And I can never underestimate the power of our consciousness coming together in peace and love.
Indeed. And I would want to point out, this was from one of our friends in the Ukraine. And I read it because I could see in this, because if you were to listen to my Sunday message, I shared about some situations over the years that happened where there was angelic protection. The first was my first pastor. He was in Kenya. Make a long story short, he did something incredibly foolish, and he decided to spend the night on top with a sleeping bag on top of his new Land Rover because he wouldn't leave it alone, because he knew that the indigenous people would burn it if he left it. And they were cannibals. And so everybody else in his team left, but he slept on top and slept through the night like a baby. When he woke up the next morning, there was a ring around the Land Rover, and it was a ring of shields and spears and arrows and other weapons piled on the ground. And like none of that pile got past this circle around his vehicle. His team came back and everybody went, "We heard all the battle. What happened?" He said, "I don't know, I slept like a baby." And they drove into the village of these people who were very hostile, that had attacked during the night. And when they saw him, they all backed up. And he said, what gives? And they said, "Well, we came to kill you. And when we began to attack, this luminous being of pure light, 9 feet tall, stood between us and you and put a shield around you and your vehicle, and no weapon could penetrate the shield." He knew it was an angel. That happened to me, a similar thing, in Bolivia when I was doing missionary work many, many years ago in the Amazon. And I was sleeping in my hut, and there were these very hostile indigenous people who got really stirred up, and they thought they were going to kill the missionary. And they came and surrounded my hut in the middle of the night, especially outside the door, with machetes and weapons and knives. And they're saying, "We're going to kill you." And they began banging on the door. The person that was sharing my hut with me, my partner in ministry at that time, said, "We're about to die. Wake up, Michael." And I was like, "Okay, go back to sleep." I don't know why, that was foolish, but I felt nothing. I just felt total peace, went back to sleep. When we got up the next day, nothing had happened. And all these kids from Ecuador and Peru and Chile and Colombia that we had brought with us to share in the missionary work said, "They came to kill you last night, Michael." And I said, "Well, I heard something about that." They said, "Well, they would have done it too, but this 9-foot tall, luminous angel stood in the doorway of your hut with wings." And they freaked and they ran away, all these people. So those kinds of experiences, when I read that message from the Ukraine, and I heard like an invisible hand deflecting bullets and turning projectiles aside so they missed us, and felt like someone was walking with us, I could recognize the ministry of angels. And I felt so affirmed. And yes, Michael Christopher said, "Can we do it again this Wednesday, please?" Yeah, we will, for sure. We're going to keep it up. One, just back up for just a second. Moray, in responding to Jennifer's question about resentment, I think, said, "Ho'oponopono."
Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono. Well, she wrote it different. Ho'oponopono, right?
Right.
Okay. I don't know why. I still can't pronounce that easily. Ho'onoponopono. Hawaii's not an easy language for me.
Yeah.
But Maury said ho'onoponopono helps in dealing with resentment. Yes. And it's easy. You could just Google it. But basically, there's a lot to ho'onoponopono. It's a whole kahuna teaching on healing relationships and having healthy relationships is very powerful. What was made really popular was this one ho'onoponopono practice, which is kind of a prayer like if someone is suffering or someone's going through something, to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. And this practitioner who wrote a book, I forget all that name of the book.
You
right?
can Google it.
You can Google it.
Move on.
He emptied out a criminal insane asylum by praying that way for every criminal insane person in there. It's a very powerful way to dissolve resentment and difficulties in relationship. You want us to move on to what?
Oh, blessings.
Okay. All right, we can do that.
It's getting a little late. Is there anything else in the comments?
It's not that late.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Jennifer got the message. Thank you, Maury. Yeah. I mean, and you just Google it, you'll get a lot more. That has been a really breakthrough practice for a lot of people, I know. So feel free to explore it if you're drawn to it.
Right.
Right. So let's close our eyes and dive into our spiritual heart. Just let go and rest in the center of your being, your spiritual heart, and there invoke the presence. The presence, the divine presence, dwells within you as the very center of your being. It's not outside of you, it's not above you, it's not far away from you. It is you. The divine presence is your true essence, your origin, your source, your sacred self. Welcome the presence. Invite the presence to embrace you, to flood you, to awaken you, to transform you and cause your being to flower. This being that is our source is pure unconditional love. It embraces and accepts you exactly as you are, no matter what you got out of religion. There's never been any separation between you and the divine. Judgment is a thing of the mind. We judge ourselves. This divine presence only loves. So let it love you. Receive the outpouring of grace that's coming to you now and drink it in. Now with your eyes still closed, imagine that we're sitting together in a circle, a blessing circle, all of us. Lift up your hands with your palms open, facing forward, and invite the presence to pour the flowering heart blessing through you to all the others seated in the circle of Satsang. Know that they too are inviting the divine to flow through them to you as we all share the blessing with one another. Visualize. You don't need to be able to do it. Just take the intent of visualizing the Ukraine in the middle of the circle. And let us ask the divine to pour grace, love, peace, and freedom out to all the people there. The divine loves all people. The divine loves the people of the Ukraine. The divine loves the people of Russia. All the people of earth. Let us ask that this troubled place on earth would be flooded with light and love and peace. Let us take a powerful intention for the earth. You could imagine or visualize the beautiful glow of the earth in the middle of our circle. In various places all over the planet is the fire of war burning, not just in Ukraine. Let us ask the divine to pour out the healing waters of love, reconciliation, and peace to cause wars to cease to the end of the earth. That the human family may awaken together in unconditional love. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We'd like to invite you now, when you're ready, relax your hands, to open your eyes and begin to make eye contact with one of us, Suzanne and or me, as we enter the light meditation. During this meditation, the presence pours oceans of awakening grace and love through every pore of our being to you, especially through our eyes, which is why mystics have called the eyes the doorways to the soul. Just keep looking at least one of our eyes and relax. There's nothing for you to do but keep looking and receive. The light will stream out of our eyes, in through your eyes, into your spiritual heart, to cause the light and the love and the divine life in you to be multiplied, to radiate and expand. settles within. Now keep meditating as long as you want to, as long as it feels good. Or you could lie down nearby in Shavasana, to lie on your back with your eyes closed, your arms loosely at your sides with your palms open, turned upward, and just dissolve in gratitude in the presence. We love you very much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Know that the divine in us beholds the divine shining in you, and we bow